Hey folks, so there's going to be a bit of a change for the next few episodes. For whatever reason, OBS ate the audio during my last recording session. My audio test beforehand worked fine, but after that, the audio from the actual session sounds like it was put through a blender. As I had sat down for a longer recording session, I'd got a decent amount of work done, and though I could re-record it all and redo it, I figured I would give doing a voiceover post-commentary a try for these few episodes. I don't plan on doing this long term. This is just for these next few episodes, and after that I'm going to be going back to my normal live recording format. So with that said, let's get things started here. So last episode we fixed the broken flee to point logic that I had broke because I tried to refactor things too early in the process and didn't bother actually checking if my refactoring worked. I just assumed it did. So fixing that, the AI will now correctly flee directly away from the stimuli source that it's trying to run away from. This episode, we're actually going to start work on the attack behavior for the NPC. To get started, we need to add a new AI task. So with that, we're going to go into our C++ classes, project, public, AI task folder, right click, new C++ class. Then we want to select all classes and search for Blackboard base. And you want the BT task Blackboard base. So click next and then give it an appropriate name. In this case, I'm going to go with TFBT task attack target. Then we're going to click create class. Now, because I had run the editor from Visual Studio, it's going to ask me if I want to reload the project. So I'm going to let the editor finish its compilation, and I'll be back once the editor is shut down and we are ready to go in Visual Studio. Alright, so we're back in Visual Studio with the editor shut down. And just like the other tasks we've done, we're going to need to add in a constructor and the execute task functions. So we're going to copy the basic information over from our random point task. We can grab the entire execute task function declaration and copy that over. Then we're going to grab a class name for our constructor and then grab the input parameters for the constructor from our random point task. Now that those have been declared, we'll wait on IntelliSense and then create the function definitions for both. So in the constructor, we'll assign a node name. In this case, I'm going to start with attack target. Freeze, I'm going to copy over the two possible finished task returns from the find flee point task, and we'll just to save any potential typos. Next, we're going to copy over the code for getting both the AI controller and the respective pawn. And don't forget to add in the require include for the AI controller. And then as we're going to need access to the behavior tree, nav system, and Blackboard, let's grab those includes as well. Okay, so now that we've got that, there is some information we need to figure out that's going to help us to determine how we want to attack the target. So we're going to want to know, well, where is the NPC's location? Where's the target's location? And should we be doing a melee or a ranged attack? Now, with a ranged attack, obviously, we're going to want to shoot and try and find cover. For a melee attack, we just want the NPC to move towards the target and attack. Well, to find out do we want to use melee or ranged, we want to add a new function to our AI controller. So for that, we're going to start ufunction blueprint callable. And we want bool has ranged attack const. And actually, we can make this one a blueprint pure as well. So we're going to create the definition for that. And for now, we're just going to leave this returning false, as we don't actually have any ranged weapons or logic for that. But so we don't forget, we're going to add a to-do note, so in the future we can correct this. Now that we have that function, we can actually add that into our attack task. So we're going to create a Boolean variable and grab that from our AI controller. We're going to want to expand on this in the future. So for now, we're just going to throw it in an if check and we're going to return a success. Let's throw a comment in there to remind us what the intent was. At this point, I realized we're actually going to want to have this much like our reaction state, and we're going to want it to be an attack type state. For that, let's actually copy over our reaction type assignment code here. And we're going to change it from this to owner comp, obviously, and it's not a pointer. So we're going to need a new name for this Blackboard key, so let's call it attack type. And here I assign it a value of 1, but I actually changed that a little later on to a value of 2. So, but you can see I added a comment in here to say we need to solidify exactly what we want these values to be. And it's at this point I realized I've named this node wrong, so we're going to change this to attack type precheck. And now that we've got the ranged portion put in place, let's have a look at the melee portion. I'm going to clear out the notes. Okay, so we could go with an else condition here, and I'm actually recreating what I said during the original audio. But for anyone not familiar with an if statement, we don't need to include an else. The inside of the if has range check has a return. So once we fall inside that block, we never come back out. So we don't have to worry about any code below that. And as such, we don't need the else, so we can just write our code as we would normally. Okay, so now we need to grab a reference to our target because we need to see how far away it is. So own a component, get Blackboard component, and then we want to grab the target character. Okay, so this is a UObject pointer, target equals ownercomp.getBlackboard component, pointer, get value as object target character. And with that, UObject doesn't include things like actor location, so we actually need to cast this up to an A actor to be able to get access to the information we need. So now that we've got that, we want if target get actor location minus NPC get actor location dot length is less than or equal to 100. Now, we don't actually want to use a fixed value here, because some creatures may have a longer melee range than others, and so do some weapons, like take, for example, a dagger or a staff. So let's add in another function to the AI controller. We can copy over the decorator for the has range function, and then what we want is float get melee attack range const. Create that definition. And for now, just like has range, we're just going to leave it with a default fixed return of 100 here. But like has range, we're going to add in a comment to say we need to fix this later. So now that we have that, back in our attack target task, let's change that fixed 100 to con get melee attack range. So what this is actually doing is we're going to be evaluating, are we close enough to actually hit the target? If that's the case, we can attack. To do that, we're just going to set the attack type variable to our melee state. We can copy that over from our ranged. And here I'm setting this to 2, but I actually changed that back to a 1 later on. And let's just clarify what these comments are pointing to. All right, and as we have a success return, let's get rid of this placeholder at the bottom. We don't want to accidentally leave that in. And this is where I change those values. So we will use 2 for ranged, 1 for melee, and then we're going to use 0 for out of range, like move towards the target. For that, we just want to copy over the assignment and the return, and we're just going to change that to a value of 0, and obviously fix our comment. So just quickly to recap, what we've done here is we've created a function that will tell the AI how it needs to proceed to attack the target. We've got it will go into a range state, which we're obviously going to address later on. We have you are in a melee attack state or a move towards the target state. All right, so now let's do a quick build and we will head into the engine. And I'll be back as soon as we're there. All right, so we're back inside the engine. And once I'm done fighting with the content browser here, first thing we want to do is to add in the new Blackboard key we just created. So open that up and add a new Int Key. And to be safe, copy it directly from the code to make sure the name's correct. No typos or anything like that. Now let's work on the behavior tree. So open that up. Here you can see we have the flee, idle, and attack states we worked on previously. We're going to quickly move the flee and idle out of the way just so we can focus on the attack here. And let's get rid of these placeholder tasks because we do need to expand on this more. All right, so we want to start with this attack target task that we just created, even though it's attack target pre-check. Now, I left this part in as I like to show my mistakes. Here, I tried adding a decorator before I realized I don't need a decorator on this one. This is a pre-check. It's not a physical state. Now that's done, let's add in our 3 sequent nodes for the different states. These are obviously our move towards, our melee attack, and our ranged attack states that we just defined. And we'll give them some fitting names. And don't worry, I'm going to fix the order so that they're in numerical alignment. Just like the reaction state, we want to add decorators to these. And then have them align with those states we just created. So, ranged attack needs to have attack type equal to 2, melee needs to equal to 1, and then ranged needs to equal to 0. Then we want to make sure to set all of them to abort self should those values change. Let's name the decorators as well. And we'll fix the name of the reaction state ones while we're at it. Okay, now we want to add the reevaluate reaction state as the very last step. And this is to try and catch if the target dies, things like that. Even though they can't right now. And then just like in code, let's add a comment to say this may need reworking. This is something I like to do for basically my future self as I'm a solo dev. But if I'm doing something that I'm immediately unsure if it's going to work, I like to throw a comment in there to say, I'm not sure this is going to work. We might need to fix it later on. So that I know if something's broken in here, I can go look for those comments and then decide, okay, this is working or this isn't working. Let's fix it. Now, for our out of range state, we're going to want a move to task. And I'll say this now, hindsight is 2020. This particular move to does not do what we want it to do here. We're actually going to fix that next episode. Also, we want to end this state with another attack target pre-check to see if we're still close enough or do we need to keep moving. All right, let's save what we've done here. We're going to close out the editor. And here, much as I was just saying, this move to doesn't actually do what we want it to do, but I'm just going to quickly sort of cover what I'm doing. I'm adding in functionality to work with this move to that we added in, even though, like I said, it's not correct. We're assigning to the move to location, and it's not what we want. So with that though, we're going to add in some placeholder logic quickly so we have an idea of what the functionality in this attack state is actually going to look like, and it gives us an idea of what future functions we need to add in. So off the melee attack, we obviously want to have an attack task. That's the physical action of making the melee attack. And we also want to add a is the target dead. It's actually the exact same for the ranged state for now. It's actually where I'm going to end this episode for now, folks. As I said at the start, I am sorry for this abrupt change in format. OBS apparently didn't like my initial recording audio for whatever reason. There's 2 more episodes like this where I'm going to be doing a voiceover post-commentary style, and then it should be back to my normal format of a live audio recording. As always, though, thanks for watching, folks. If there's any comments, questions, concerns, suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments below or hop onto the Discord. I try to respond there as quickly as possible. Thanks again, though, and I will see you in the next episode.